All right, to discuss the historic moment, or rather this historic moment and its significance, we're joined from the UK by Prince Agatise Eredua, the Royal Prince of the Benin Kingdom. Glad to have you join us on Newsnight, Prince. And 124 years after this Benin bronze cockerel was looted, the Jesus College at Cambridge is returning it. How does that make you feel? That's one. And two, what's really is the significance and implication for relations between Nigeria and Britain and Africa and reparations?
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the program. Let me say, first of all, in response to how I felt at the ceremony today, I was actually overwhelmed. I was visibly overwhelmed with emotion, because seeing something that was taken away from your forefathers, forcefully, illegally, actually stolen, and now those in possession of it, in their wisdom, come to the realization and the decision that it is time to return this stolen work. You know, you have to give a lot of credit to them. Give credit to the courage of the university and the students who initiated this. In terms of relations with Britain, you know, the British Museum holds a very large collection. They insist that they have legislation which prevents or restricts them from giving back the artifacts. Well, we know that the thinking is changing. There is now a paradigm shift. They believe that you can keep on to stolen goods because you acquire them as spoils of war, or you acquire them in a trade or exchange. I think this narrative is shifting. So we know that very soon the British also will come on the bandwagon and come in terms with the fact that you cannot continue like that. The Germans, the French, they are holding artifacts, but they have come to the decision that it is legally incorrect to continue to hold on to these artifacts. And we know that change will come very soon with the British as well.
And it seems that change has begun earnestly. Prince Eredua, the question of where these artifacts will be housed is a major issue of concern. We have heard from the Oba of Benin that there will be a museum built right within the premises of the Oba's palace. And the question then would be, would it be open to, you know, visitors? I mean, tourism is one key area that Nigeria needs to tap into very, very seriously. And then what role will the Edo State government be playing, since they were at the forefront of the fight to return these artifacts?
Thank you very much. This is really a very straightforward question. First of all, the museum that is proposed to be built in front of the palace, known as the Benin Royal Museum, is not a restricted museum. It is going to be open to the public. It cannot be restricted. Even if within the palace there is a small collection for private viewing, but the Benin Royal Museum itself, which will be housed outside the palace for land already acquired for that purpose, is going to be open to the public. Now, with respect to the state government, the present governor had extensive discussions with His Royal Majesty the Oba of Benin on the proposed Benin Royal Museum. And the governor had in the past given his commitment to supporting the Benin Royal Museum. Some other things seem to have transpired in recent past, but in the last few days, the governor has actually reiterated his support for the Benin Royal Museum, and if anything else is going to come as an adjunct to the Benin Royal Museum, so be it. But we take the governor for his word. He had given that word to His Majesty, and he has repeated his commitments. In the last few days, we were in Britain together, and this question was put to him. And he also said that clearly the state government, the governor, is committed to construction of Benin Royal Museum, so we have no reason to see him do anything different from that.
All right, Prince, let's follow up on that. The president wants this cockerel, this bronze cockerel, handed over to the Oba specifically. You'll be representing the Oba in this matter. Why did the president make such a statement? Why is it important?
Well, with specific reference to this cockerel, you know, it was the Jesus College as an institution itself that invited the Oba of Benin. They had conducted their research, and they found out that without any iota of doubt, this piece was removed from the palace of the Oba of Benin. And they had a working committee which came up with a paper, a research paper, and part of the findings of that research paper and part of the recommendations was that this cockerel should be returned to its original place of abode, which is the palace of the Oba of Benin. And the master of Jesus College took on that recommendation, and within a very short time decided, with the concurrence of the board of trustees of the institution, to return this. And that is why they fixed a date for this ceremony that was held today. Now, the president has always held the view that bronze works from Benin should be returned to Benin. And you know, the federal government engages with other governments in matters like this. It's a government-to-government negotiation. But the federal government negotiates on behalf of Benin or any other place where artifacts have been removed. That is a process worldwide. So if the president says these things should be given to the palace, to the Oba of Benin, he's actually echoing the position of the federal government, and more so the position of the Jesus College, which in their own resolution said that this particular cockerel should be sent to the palace of the Oba of Benin. I don't think it could have been done otherwise.
Then there is the other concern, whether these artifacts will be well preserved and well protected. To think that it has been in the custody of Europeans for so long, for decades, if not centuries. One, and then do you think this whole experience provides Nigerians with the opportunity and the lesson to appreciate our national heritage that reminds us of our history and pride as a people? The word okuko, the name of that cockerel alone, okuko is actually an Igbo word.
Yeah,
that in itself, says a lot. What are your thoughts?
Okay, so the actual name of this bronze work is okoko. So okuko is actually is a play on the name of one of the benefactors of the school of Jesus College. So I think they just somehow mixed it up with his name, and his name is Kuko or something like that, from what we have found out. But actually it is Okoko, which is a cockerel. It is not a Kuko. Now, it is not an Igbo word. The significance of bringing our bronze works back should not be confused with the ability to preserve and maintain these works. Now, the National Commission for Museums and Monuments just recently signed an MOU with another government agency outside the country to build capacity in the areas of preservation, storage, curatorship, and all of our museum studies. So definitely we will build a capacity, but building the structure is the first step, and the structure will be built according to modern international standards of storage, cooling, and preservation. So we really don't have any problem like that. We will achieve it, and that's why I said it is something that the state government and the federal government, and in fact international organizations, are also willing to help with. The institutions that have been holding these artifacts as a way of part of the restitution is also to support in seeing that this is achieved.
All right, Prince, let me take you back to this question of, Germany, Britain. Germany has made a commitment to return the Benin bronzes in its museums, but the British Museum in London has made no such commitment, and they have the largest, as it were. How do you think this event occurring today will impact on that, on Britain as well?
Well, Britain, they hide behind the cloak of legislation. So they argue that they have legislation which prevents artifacts from the British Museum from being returned. They give various reasons for that. But the truth of the matter is, if items have been stolen, there's no amount of legislation that will legitimize the act of that theft. That is the point we're making. So, with time, there is no doubt that the British authorities will also come to the realization that you cannot continue to hold on to this like this. We have other governments, other nations and institutions that put up the same arguments initially. But like I said, the narrative is changing. There's a great paradigm shift now. And those that argued like this prior to this time are the ones that are coming out to say, we are willing to return these things. We have come to realize that we were wrong. We cannot continue to hold these items. We were wrong. And even today, Jesus College made an apology after handing over the cockerel. The master of Jesus College apologized openly for what happened in Benin in 1897, and for them even receiving and holding this item for so long, for over 120 something years. So the British authorities, we know. 2 days ago, the National Commission for Museums and Monuments presented to the director of the British Museum a letter of request for the return of these artifacts. And today, the Nigerian High Commissioner to the UK, in speaking at the ceremony, also said that before NCMM presented their letter, that the embassy itself had also presented a letter of demand, a letter of request. It is part of the protocol. You have to request. So those two letters, and in fact, in the time of our grandfather Bakenzwa, he had actually written to Queen Elizabeth herself to return the artifacts that were with them. So with time, the British will turn around. I'm very optimistic, and we hope that actually do turn around.
Right, Prince Agatise Rediwa, the Prince of the Benin Kingdom, thank you so much for joining us on Newsnight all the way from London. We hope many more artifacts will return sooner than later.